Good morning, people. Watchwoman 65. I should say good afternoon. I had an appointment today and I have another one later. But I wanted to come on this morning because I got an article off of Zero Hedge. And it's saying that scientists warn about dangerous tipping point where the coronavirus could go from mild to deadly. It says, as researchers, doctors, and epidemiologists spend more time studying the coronavirus under a microscope, as well as 100,000 plus infections that have yielded reams of useful data, a troubling trend has emerged. Researchers have identified a tipping point at which the virus goes from dangerous to deadly in extremely susceptible patients. That's patients that are older, compromised immune systems, and people like that. It says that according to research, many patients experience nothing more than a mild cold. 1 in 7 patients develop difficulty breathing and other severe complications, while 6% becomes critically ill and require hospitalization. Now, this thing, they said, is at a tipping point. Roughly 10 to 15% of mild to moderate patients progress to the next severe state. It's important for hospitals and doctors to understand which patients are at highest risk of worsening infections so they can factor this into their risk assessments and direct resources and attention accordingly. Now, the problem is, like I said in something yesterday or the day before, they don't have enough equipment. They're rationing out masks and gloves. You have to sign out for that now. I mean, seriously? And because of the 10, 15%, 15 to 20% of that group may progress to critically severe infection stage requiring the highest level of attention and care to save a life. But if they don't have enough equipment to even see these people, what's that saying right there? Like I said yesterday, we're looking for Jesus. We're looking for the author and finisher of our faith. We look to his coming very, very, very soon. They're pumping money right now into the stock market. Basically, they're just putting a Band-Aid on a problem that's going to continue. It's still hemorrhaging. It's going up and down, up and down. It's still hemorrhaging, and they're just putting a Band-Aid on it. That's not going to help. Ladies and gentlemen, and for the last time, if someone tells me that we're in the tribulation, I'm going to reach through this computer screen. We're not in the tribulation. Are we in a period of judgment? Yes. Because you don't mess with the apple of God's eye and agree to dividing the land. Is this judgment? Yes. Are we in the tribulation? No. For the last time, we are not in the tribulation period. If we were in the tribulation period, like I've said before, we wouldn't be talking on the internet. We'd be looking for a place to hide, running for our lives, because all hell would be breaking loose. We wouldn't be on the internet. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you, and so forth. This is here to stay. And like I said on Tim's, when me and Tim were talking live yesterday, this is the foundation for the Antichrist. This virus is the foundation for the Antichrist. It's not going anywhere. And it's just going to get worse. The stock market, they're just putting a Band-Aid on the stock market, but it's going to get worse also. I'm not here to bring you bad news. I'm bringing you this news so you can look to the good news that's about to show up on the scene to take the church out of here. I don't know who the Antichrist is going to be, and quite frankly, I don't really care. Because I'm not looking for the Antichrist. I'm looking for the Christ, the Messiah, Jesus Christ. Yeshua HaMashiach. Jesus, who died, was buried, and rose again for my sins, past, present, and future. This is why I report this to you, so you can look to him, knowing that he's coming here any minute, any day. When everything goes well, white blood count cells attack the virus and lock the infection down within a few days. Infection usually, listen to this, generally starts in the nose. Once inside the body, the coronavirus invades the epithelial cells that line and protect the respiratory tract. And this is from Jeffrey Taubenberger, who heads the viral pathogens and evolution section of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease in Bethesda, Maryland. If it's contained in the upper airway, it usually results in a less severe disease. If the virus tracks down the windpipe to the perpetual branches of the respiratory tree and lung disease, it can trigger a more severe phase of the disease. That's why people like me who have COPD, people who have a compromised immune system, are more susceptible to it. But that's okay. It says your body is immediately trying to repair the damage in the lung as soon as it's happening. Various white blood cells that consume pathogens help heal damaged tissue, act as first responders. Normally, if this goes well, you can clear up the infection in just a few days. But if this doesn't happen, if the virus persists and continues to attack the tissue of the nose, throat, and some point, it will become difficult for the body to fight off secondary bacterial infection. And such secondary bacterial infections are particularly dangerous because they can damage the stem cells of the lungs, basically making it impossible for the patient's lungs to heal. Now, I got another report too from Zero Hedge that's saying that this is not likely to heal when the weather gets warm, the way Trump has said that. That's not going to happen. And I'm going to come back with that one later because I have to find it. And I will link it. I will give you that report too later on today. But it says here, this isn't the only way that things can go wrong. Even healthy, younger adults have succumbed to the virus. There was an Asian doctor, a 34-year-old ophthalmologist, who was one of the first to warn about the coronavirus in Wuhan. He died after receiving antibodies, antivirals, antibiotics, oxygen, and having his blood pumped through an artificial lung. Scientists have theorized that some people have more of a distinctly shaped protein receptor in their respiratory epithelial cells that the virus targets. No one is immune from this thing. But like I said, we look to the author and finisher of our faith to pull us out of here before things get worse, which is what they're headed for right now. I'll leave the link to this article in the description box. I wanted to come by and give you this. I trust Zero Hedge. They're really good at this. But I wanted to let you know that this thing has reached a tipping point where it goes from mild to dangerous. And I wanted to tell you something else too. Russia is putting its foot down on this thing as well. Russia, Moscow, goes high alert and threatens 5 years in jail for breaking any kind of self-quarantine. It says through Russia, though Russia hasn't been hit hard yet, they have 17 to 20 something cases so far confirmed. But the city government of Moscow has of Sunday, this past Sunday, imposed a high alert regime. All mandatory self-quarantine for those who have recently visited foreign countries with an infected population. The penalty for such designated citizens, if they leave their homes and break the quarantine, is up to 5 years in jail. The Moscow City Hall has threatened. So, authorities are reportedly even going so far as to set up closed-circuit TV cameras in place of self-isolation in order to monitor conformity. Now, if they're doing that, this disease is extraordinarily serious. And it's time people start waking up to it. Like I said, it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere, but we are. We, the church. So, I'll leave the link to this article also in the description box. In the meantime, I'll be back later. Thank you.